like I was friends with a girl who was much bigger in stature than me. So I would ride my big wheel
Bigger in
and she
stature.
would put on skates and hold on to the back of my big wheel.
Stature, not
Stature.
statue. She was not a statue.
No,
think
they feel nothing.
eyeballs and fingers tend to be the things that people are like, oh, like
That's where they
whenever they
draw the
see it in a
line.
movie, it's like, oof, yeah.
Chim
Chim
chimney,
chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chim. They're not singing that
No.
shit. So why are we singing that?
I don't
shit?
know.
That's the
This
question.
is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
Really dumb stuff that I've done.
Okay.
When I was cleaning off the porch and I found that little white thing, and I was like, what is this? I was like, is this to an old doorbell? And I threw it out. And then about a week later, I wondered why the indoor-outdoor weather station wasn't registering outside when it clicked in my head what I had done.
That thing was really accurate too.
So
Hence the sensor outside.
yeah. Well, I was looking online. Of course, you can't just get another outside sensor. You got to get a whole other unit. But that was reminding me of dumb shit my ex-husband did. Like when...
Do we have a long enough show for that?
Well, just it was very similar. He said to me one time, I'm going to cut this wire. It's to the old doorbell.
Oh God, I remember this story.
And it was this weird little wire that ran down, like going down the basement stairs. It just ran along the wall. So I said, okay. Gets to be fall. House is chilly. We got little kids trying to turn the heat on. The heat will not turn on. So he called, someone to come look at it. And of course, he's not there when the guy came because I was, a stay-at-home housefrau. And the guy comes.
Who cut this wire?
Takes one look at it. He literally looked at everything for he went downstairs first. And then he said, who cut this wire? Looking at me very accusatorily. Dumb blonde.
Accusatorily.
I'm like, it was my...
I did something incredibly dumb yesterday. So as I was riding around, we have 2 Home Depots in this area that are both pretty close. But
very different.
I was working on a plumbing project and I was running out of day and they didn't have what I needed at one. So I put in the directions to go from the one Home Depot to the other. And so it took me around town and starts taking me back. I ended up going back towards Perry Park. Well, I realized I had driven back to the original one. I had picked the wrong one. Wasted probably about half an hour. Yeah. Ridiculous.
It's amazing how different, like, 2 of the same stores in the same area can be so different. Like the Walmart that is in Towson and the Walmart that is in Nottingham, which aren't that far apart.
I hate them both, actually. Yeah.
They're both really busy, but it's like a totally different crowd, totally different layout. I dislike the Towson one worse just because anything like it seems like anything I really need is up on the second floor, and there's a cartolator is what I call it. You have to put your cart in the middle. Very nicely, they have a sign that says, do not put your children in there, in the basket when the cartolator. Although I have seen people do it because, as we know, people ignore signs. But
right, it kind of locks into the escalator.
And then it takes your cart up. And then you can go
up. Of course, there's an elevator that is bigger that you can, 2-story stores. Harris Teeter's like that. 2-story stores where you put your cart on a device to come to the second floor. It's strange. It's a weird experience.
And the elevator's always got a big line of like handicapped people and people in, scooters. So that's a pain in the butt. I actually had to take that when we bought that big TV. Talk about dumb stuff. We had gotten that way back in the day, that Obama check. What was that, $1,000? And of course, I'm a single mom. We didn't have a decent TV set, and I was going to go buy a flat screen right away. So I go with not only my 3 children, but a neighbor's child. And I had like a little sedan to Walmart to buy a big flat screen TV.
Because you were strapped to the roof or something?
We put it in the car. I just looked at my son and his friend, and I was like, they were the oldest, I guess they were probably about 14. I'm like, you guys are walking home. It wasn't far.
Yeah. No room for the children.
But then when we got home, my daughter and I couldn't figure out how to get, again, dumb blonde moment, how to get the TV out of the car. And
You got it in there.
we did it, but it wouldn't come back out. And I'm thinking, do I have to get
It was like stuck in the well or sort of.
it just wouldn't make that, obviously you can't bend it, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't make the
You could take it out of the
it would-
box.
that's what I was about to do when my son, who walked home, appears at the top of the street and comes down, and he just takes one look at it and he moves the seat forward. He was like, "Why didn't you just do that?" I said, "Because I guess in my head I didn't move it forward to get it in."
Uh-huh.
So it didn't make anyway, he got it out like immediately. So
We used to have this minivan, and I would use it. It was pretty much destroyed for highway travel, but I kept it because I didn't have a truck, and I was doing a lot of drywall work, and so I would go and get like plywood or drywall or whatever, and I would just drive it. It was only like half a mile to the Home Depot, but I had to put the seat all the way up because for the sheet to fit, and I was
God.
driving like this. It was
horrible.
I was like, if anything hits me, I'm dead. Because I was like all the way up. It was so dorky.
Oddly enough, he would not do drywall work for me.
I didn't say I did good drywall. I just said I did drywall. For you, it should be good. Yes. Well, anyway, so that was highly interesting. We both do dumb things.
I think everybody has a moment where they're like, "I'm dumb."
No matter how smart you are, we all have moments, of moments of artificial lack of intelligence. Yeah. So I was thinking about the toys that we played with as kids.
God.
Early 80s. I don't think any of these toys would ever be a hit today in the electronic environment that we live in now, but we made
You
do
never
with what we
know.
had.
I mean, a lot of times with my kids who were born in the 90s, when I would, play a movie from the 80s like Ferris Bueller, they thought I was the goddess of movies. They're like, "Mom, where's another one? This was awesome."
Really?
Yeah.
All right, what's the difference between that and spin art,
Yeah.
Etch-a-Sketch?
I love that. It was that thing, and you strapped in your paper and it spun, and you could put like a tiny drop of paint and it would go, bah! It was
It's
awesome.
like tie-dyeing,
Yeah.
except you were tie-dyeing a piece of paper. Yeah. Etch-a-Sketch.
I could never do that one right. It took way too much. Like you would see people who did artwork. I'm like,
yeah.
well, I made a stairs after about 20 minutes.
That was about the best I could do too. I wasn't making the Mona Lisa on Etch-a-Sketch now. And if I ever did have anything, half these and my brother would shake it right up. It would be gone. Fuckers. Yeah.
And of course, spirograph. I thought this was amazing because I really couldn't draw for shit. So odd. When I took art classes in school, I would have that one project that turned out fairly good, and I'm thinking I can draw. And the next project, I was like, no, I can't.
When was Spirograph like the little interlocking round
You had
things?
a bigger circle,
Right. It was all circles. Right. I remember that.
and it kind of had teeth,
Right.
and then places
put
for
the
the
other-
gears, like a gear.
Right. You put your pencil in and you
And-
could make circles inside of circles and patterns inside of
Had
patterns.
all different shapes and styles of smaller circles, and it would create different patterns as you moved your pens around, inks, pens, caps. It's very into all that.
We were content to
colors.
sit and spin. Remember the sit and spin?
I had one.
You just spin until you throw up.
My dad had clubbed the basement, which I don't think people do anymore.
That sounds so 70s.
That meant you took
It's
an
been clubbed.
unfinished basement and you paneled it and put awful carpet. I think that's
Wow.
what it
It
meant.
had been
Yeah.
clubbed.
Yeah. He
Here's a phrase you don't hear anymore.
clubbed the basement. And there was only one area that wasn't carpeted, and it was right at the bottom of the basement stairs. So that's where I had to do my sit and spin. And it was this lovely device you could sit on and turn the wheel and spin yourself in circles. It's great.
We loved it. Yeah.
It was
That's all we
on-
needed.
It was like almost as good as like freaking, I guess they still make Slinkies, because I remember buying them for my kids' Easter baskets, which they probably destroyed within the year. But I was happy to make it try to walk up and down the stairs.
You were talking about the thing that you hooked to your ankle. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, it was basically it was a ring around your ankle, and it was attached to this longer thing with like a ball on the end of it.
Yeah.
And you had to swing your one leg kind of centrifugal force so that the end would come around, and then you had to jump over it, which was a really good way of getting ankle bruises. I found out if you don't jump correctly. So
it's like jump rope, but you're just using your feet. sort of.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to jump over the ball as you
That-
yourself
I've-
bend it
I'm
around.
not anywhere near coordinated enough to have ever done anything like that. Yeah. I
How
tell you
about
what,
hula hoops?
we made our own fun. Yeah, hula hoops. That's I think that's a generation before us. He's very jangly.
We used to do a really, probably this was dangerous. I don't know. Like I was friends with a girl who was much bigger in stature than me. So I would ride my big wheel
Bigger in
and she
stature.
would put on skates and hold on to the back of my big wheel.
Stature, not
Stature.
statue. She was not a statue.
No.
You said bigger in stature. Sorry.
Bigger in
Stature.
stature. So yeah, I don't know. We'd ride up and down the alley.
This friend of mine, he was a
Yeah.
statue. He didn't
Oh my
talk much.
God.
He didn't talk much, but he was, we also didn't complain. So.
As usual, I have jalapeno in my eye.
Oh no. Habanero. Was
Yeah.
it habanero?
Yeah.
She just got done breakfast.
Yeah, so I don't know. We used to do all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
Me and my brothers, we had a thing for toys with a million pieces, right?
Mhm.
There was this awesome toy called Girder and Panel, and we just dump it out. It was all these, it was literally like you had steel girders that hooked together, and you would make a building, and then you put the panels over top of it. Basically, we were building little skyscrapers. And I think that, like that and the Light Bright, and we just
Legos.
Yeah, I think my mom would get angry because she was vacuuming the shit up and she'd be bitching. I think that was the whole reason why we liked it, was just to get under my mom's skin.
I used to hate Legos are still very popular though, which they're super expensive. I can't believe how expensive Legos are. Maybe because I think they had that, like for the Star Wars, I think they had to pay something to get the rights to put Anyway, they're super expensive. But the boys for a while had you could build like this Lego guy, and I think they were called like Transformers or something. And then they would fight with them, like boys do. And then the pieces would go everywhere. And they always thought they picked them up. And then I would get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and step on one of these pieces of Lego. Yeah. And the worst part about stepping on Legos is they stick to your foot. So before you can think, you put your foot back down and re-rocked it.
Yeah.
Or re-Legoed.
My Lego story goes like this. I worked for a company that was Danish owned, but they had a Mexican plant in Monterey. And it turns out that Lego is the same. Lego is a Danish owned company that had a plant that was only a couple hours away from our plant. So powers that be thought it'd be a good idea for all of us to go see if we can get supply chain / logistics ideas from the way Lego's factory was set up in Mexico. So we get in this kind of cushy air-conditioned van, and like I said, it was about an hour or so to their plant. And when we got there, the strangest thing happened. We go into the garage, and those things that hang from the garage, the little piece of pipe that says don't enter above this height? That's really good advice, but the driver didn't take it. But bump. And I thought, wow, this guy must really know what he's doing, right? He got in and he crunch. Yeah. Got stuck in the garage. And it was like, hi, Lego people, we're here. So throughout the entire tour, we were deeply concerned because it was like 110 degrees out, and the top of the van was where the AC was. So, but somehow he got it out, and the AC still worked when we got back, but they never forgot us at the Lego factory. They also gave us this really big, as a souvenir, this really big Lego set that I had to get through customs and carrying my luggage. And I was like, I would have taken like a gift card or something. I ended up giving it to my nephew. I was just, but that was my Lego story. I've actually been there.
Yeah, I did buy a Light Bright for my kids because I enjoyed it. But what ended up happening was I was showing them how to do it. Basically, you get, a pattern on a board and you have to follow and put all the pegs in. It makes a picture. I would be showing them how to do it. And all of a sudden I realized I'm doing it by myself and they're gone.
Here's another thing about like Light Bright and stuff. It was like, what did you do when you were done? So it's sort of like the Etch-a-Sketch thing. Like you put all this time into it, and it wasn't like now where you can even take a picture of it to remember it. It was just like you just kind of sat it there for a while.
Sat there until your mother complained, and then you take it apart.
So really, it was we didn't have much staying power with these artistic expressions. Hey, remember Stretch Armstrong? It was basically like this rubber doll, like a muscle man, and you could just pull his arms and stretch them, or pull his legs and stretch them. They had a Hulk one.
They did.
My parents got us like, I think 3 different ones, and every single time one of my brothers or I would end up stabbing it with a screwdriver because we just had to see what color the gel was. Yeah, they all died of impalement.
I liked slime, which is a great product for kids. Probably, I
We
don't
just
know.
play with the slime.
It was this bucket of like slime. It literally came in like a little plastic trash can.
I remember it. Yep.
And you could just squish it. That was it. That was all you could do with this. It was ew, you feel it. Ew,
It didn't take
squish it.
much. It didn't take much.
And I decided to put it in my school backpack.
Oh no, I bet that didn't go well.
No, I was picking it out of my spiral notebook for
Ugh.
weeks
Um,
as it dried. And
I know it was a simple concept, but I could never get Silly Putty to work. I would find I couldn't get. I would get the newspaper laid out. I would put the Silly Putty on and it would rip every time. I ruined so many comics that way.
Well, the only thing I didn't like was it would work, but then all the ink would get over your Silly Putty, and then your Silly Putty was kind of went from like flesh colored to like gray, like instantly.
I never got that far. Mine was always filled with chunks of newspaper. So, oh, this is cool. So about 10, 11 years old, we went through a Estes model rocket stage, right? I think for scouts, we had to build a model rocket and we became intrigued with it, right? So first we would put the model rockets together properly, paint them, put the decals on, fire them off, and they'd get lost.
Hmm.
So it took us, we quickly realized that we really didn't need to do all that. The little engines were really what mattered. So we started just gluing fins to the engines and shooting them off. And then if we couldn't find it, we couldn't find it, right? Then we decided that we could go even further with the model rocket engines. So basically, we started like kind of cutting them open. And as long as you stuck the wire in there and you backed off, connected it to the lantern battery, it would, right? So we started burying them in the ground to watch the dirt blow up. And then we got to the point where
Tired Toy Story.
Yeah.
Blowing up toys.
Yeah. Then we would dig a hole, fill it with plastic army men, put the model rocket engine in there, and the wire, cover everything up, and then we would dig and we'd find the melted army man. And we're like, ooh, wow, sadistic. Now, a friend of mine, this guy that was part of the model rocket gang, he ended up melting his hair, fucking around with it, right?
Oh my
He took it a
God.
little too far. He was a little, unsurprisingly, he became a Marine and he probably gets paid now to blow shit up. So I'm not surprised.
That's some proving ground somewhere.
Yep, exactly. So he found his calling. I'm a little jealous. So.
Yeah, my grandfather they had like a summer, like a beach house.
Yeah.
And my cousins had the house next door, so we would just run around all summer. And he would set off fireworks on the 4th of July. And they had these things, and I don't know of anything today that exists like them. But some of the fireworks had little army guys that parachuted, I guess, from the firework. And we used to love all day the next day just running around the little community trying to find these poor melted dudes with their
I
parachute.
could never get the army men with the parachute to work. Like throw it up in the air, it would just flop right
Apparently,
down.
you have to
You have to
attach
fire
them
it.
to a firework.
It has to be done from like 10,000 feet up, I guess, or something. Yeah. What about the games our parents like? Jacks. I don't even
Yeah.
understand the rules. Jacks,
you
the little
know-
ball, and no.
You have to do like certain amount of jacks. You have to pick up a certain amount, like 1 and then 2 and then 3,
No thanks.
and you have to keep
And watch
going.
paint dry. Sounds better.
I never understood marbles. I used to like to have marbles. I think at one point I had a bag full of marbles. This is probably before I lost my marbles. But I never understood like the hitting them out of the circle thing and whose was whose. I was kind of
It's like a Squid Games thing, you know. Tic-tac-toe and checkers.
And chess. I remember Dad teaching me chess.
Yeah.
I was like, he can move where, but only when what happens? I have to write
Yeah.
this down.
And we used to play chess, video game chess too.
Mm.
Yeah. That's when you're really bored.
Solitaire. I can remember actually. Yeah. Playing that on a computer and cards.
So the ultimate toy of my youth was
Oh,
the.
God.
I'm going to show some footage here from the. I found the original commercial
Mhm.
for it online on YouTube. It was the Spider-Man web shooter. Okay, now keep in mind this is like late 70s, early 80s. So we'd be watching TV, and it was basically like a little plunger that fired with a string, and the show would go to commercial at the old house, and I would go, and the thing would stick to the TV. That was all I could do with it. And my father would yell at me, "Put that goddamn thing away," you know. But if you look at what's doing, I could never get it to do what happens in the commercial where he like shoots it and pulls the little truck back. I tried it so many times. I broke 13 of them. They were not well made. I think the one in the commercial is modified. I don't think it's fair, but I loved it.
I used to like the Shrinky Dinks. Which
They're the
found
ones
that
you
they
bake.
still make. Yeah, you cut them and then you bake them and they shrink, and then you have no idea what to do with them after that.
They're basically pieces of plastic. I thought you could like hang them with. Didn't they have like little?
I think the one you could make into a necklace or something. Why you would want a Shrinky Dick necklace is beyond me.
You were
Maybe
supposed to
earring,
hang them. You're supposed to hang them from things. I remember that.
earrings, which I have none.
Well, good times. I tell you what, we made our own fun. So let's talk about the feature interview this week. Looks like this week we have Matt Harvey, guitarist and vocalist for the long-standing gore grind outfit Exhumed out of San Jose. This band has been around forever, since the early 90s.
Now they're with Relapse Records.
Yeah. And they've just released their 9th full-length, not counting like splits and comps and all that crap. Sorry, it's called To the Dead, and it's fantastic.
This group was actually started in 1990 when Matt Harvey was 15 years old.
Yeah.
So he's been around a long time, and this band is back bigger and better than gorier than ever.
Yeah. We cover a wide range of topics, from him driving his wife's minivan to what he thinks about the new Dahmer show to just about everything. So it's a great interview. So look forward to that. And let's get Decay going with some good classic Exhumed. We're going to go all the way back to 98's gore metal record. This is Casket Crusher. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. We keep filling it up with exclusive content. Since our last show, I've added a review revisiting Sepultura's Roots. We added in the Hearing Aid review of the old classic from '85. And Stacy's begun to put in some book reviews recently for Joe Hill's book. A Joe Hill book. Which one was it? Heart of Box of Heart, or heart-shaped box. What was it?
Heart-shaped box.
Heart-shaped box. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're adding more and more to this for exclusive content only for our subscribers. Subscribers help keep this show going. It ain't free to produce, folks, and it's not exactly like we're making tons of money. So we need your help to keep the show going. So we're going to get there's different levels on our Patreon page, and at the top level, you could even get some bling from us.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
We've got habaneros to mail in.
Yeah, a lot.
I'm going to post a video of Stacy from a few minutes ago when she just got habanero in her eye and had to go flush. So we're talking quality bloopers and outtakes here. So also check out our Instagram page, Snaggletooth at Snaggletooth Decay, and for the rock show, it's at Snaggletooth R&R. I'm constantly putting up reviews and other miscellaneous wackiness.
I'm even considering doing a workout tips, aka stuff I have learned from Rebecca Louise.
I like that. Yeah.
I don't have a British accent, but maybe I could try.
Well, I've heard that 80% is the nutrition. So
somewhere.
anyway.
I think I've been beat over the head with that.
I think so. Yeah. So, all right. So anyway, so check that stuff out. Speaking of retro discussions, it's hard to believe now in this age where you can pretty much snap your fingers and hear any obscure music, on your phone, on YouTube, on whatever. Everything is streaming. But back when I was young, your physical copies of music were the only way you could enjoy them. If you lost the album, you lost the album and you had to go rebuy it.
Especially if it wasn't things that got played on the radio, which were only, it seemed like a handful of songs on repeat.
Yeah. So, and we had a bad habit, especially as teenagers, of losing or leaving albums and CDs with friends or girlfriends who would become ex-girlfriends. And we were too poor to go and rebuy them, which made retrieving lost items a little bit awkward. So after a breakup, you'd be like, can I have my Ramones album back? Yeah, that was a little awkward, right? So one time in particular, now keep in mind, this is years before Facebook, okay? When I was growing up, we all had cars. We had muscle cars. I had a big old souped up Mopar truck. It had a 400 cubic V8 in it. Gas was a lot cheaper back then. And how we passed the time in the town that we lived was cruising. God. So all of us would work on our cars all week. And then when the weekend came, we'd all go out to show them off. We'd park like behind the bank somewhere, and somebody would have music cranking, and we would just kind of shoot the shit, eat pizza, do whatever, until the cops would ride up. And a lot of the cops were ex-cruisers too. So it'd be like they'd come and they'd do this, but even they would know us and would be like, hey, it's George. What's up, George? And everybody knew each other. And all we would do is the caravan would move from behind the bank to behind the movie theater. And then we'd all get out
Oh
again
my
and hang out
God.
there for a while until a cop came and did this. So anyway, this is how we pass the time.
This is the reason there are no loitering signs up, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
You were loitering.
But coming soon, the signs we ignore. That's going to be one of them. I'm doing a whole show on it. Anyway, stay tuned for that. So anyway, this one particular time.
You know what? You know where the girls were?
Okay.
I know where we were. The girls you were trying to find. We were at the mall.
Well, this was late. This was
We were
like
walking around the
this
mall
was like 9-10 o'clock.
endlessly. I remember our thing was clothing shopping, record shopping, buying Twilight books at the bookstore, and then the big treat was I used to get a soft pretzel and a cream soda. It was very
Well, there were
exciting.
girls cruising with us. It was a mix. It was a mixed crowd. It was about 60-40 male.
were at
The
the mall.
girls also had muscle cars. Like this particular group. All right, so I remember this one time I was hanging out and these two girls, they had this really nice restored 1970 Super
Mhm.
B. I think it was bright blue. It was gorgeous, right? I chose to jump in the car with them one week, and I think I had just got the brandy new King Diamond tape. I think it was either Abigail or them, or it was that era. And of course, cruising around with these two girls, I was hoping for a threesome, but I think that they just bought me a slice of pizza and told me I made them laugh a lot. Let's do this again. If laughs had been sex back then, I would have been Hugh Hefner. So anyway, so to make matters worse, besides not having sex, I realized the next day that I'd left the fucking tape in their car. So I didn't know these girls from Adam. It was just like, Lisa and Jen in the Super Bay. That's all I
Right.
knew them, right? So I start asking around friends of friends of friends.
It's not like you could go on Facebook and try to
No, I think they lived up in PA too, and I was in Maryland. So anyway, so somebody through friends of friends and friends, I finally got like an address. Nobody had a phone number, so I drive up to Delta to try to find these people. I get there, the address is obviously wrong. The place is boarded up, but because I'm an idiot, I go up and I try to look in,
like
thinking,
it's gonna be a
like they're going to be living there, right? And next thing I know, my eyes were blinded by some cop shining a light on me, and I thought I'm going to end up fucking going to jail for a $9
Oh my
cassette.
God.
So luckily, I talked my way out of that, and I had to rebuy the King Diamond tape. But anyway, so that's the
So
sort
they
of
weren't
thing.
like Delta, Delta, Delta. Can I help you? Help you? Help you? No.
The people in Delta thought
Yeah.
where we lived was happening. That's how. Yeah, there's a woman I work with that lived up there, and she would bitch every day that a rooster woke her up. And I'm like, wow, what is this, Mayberry? We don't have a rooster
No.
problem here.
No, that was down the Eastern Shore when the brief period I lived in
She is
Berlin.
she is a fan of the big cock, though. I will say
Ber-
that.
That's great wine. Rex Goliath.
There you
great,
go.
Great cheap red wine.
Oh.
But I can remember we were contemplating buying a house because we were renting, and they had this section of the Eastern Shore called the Willards.
Okay.
Could not have been more aptly named. They
The
had
Willards.
one store that was a combination video rental, grocery store, dry cleaner. It just all kind of flowed together. That was it. That was all you had. And we pulled up to look at this house, and a chicken jumped on our hood. And I was like, back it up. I'm out. I'm done.
Savage poultry.
Yeah, out.
All right. Well, it is a music show. We got more for you, but let's play another Exhumed song. I love this one. This is from my favorite Exhumed
Really good.
album, Necrocracy from 2013. This song is called So Passes the Glory of Death. Hey, remember boom boxes?
Yeah, I had one.
We're doing a lot of retro on this show.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had one too. I remember standing there trying to record something off the radio. You time it and just hope the DJ wouldn't talk for days over the intro. Remember that?
Or worse yet, go into a commercial over the intro.
Or I'd hear the song and I'd be 3 rooms away, and I'd kill myself trying to get to hit the record button. A lot of spills and accidents would happen along the way, tripping over couches, tripping over stools and things.
It actually came in handy, my boombox. In the early 90s, I bought my very first and only brand new car, a Toyota Tercel. It did not come with the stereo in it at all.
It was just like a hole there.
Yeah.
Oh wow. My
And
father's car was like that. Yeah.
I had to purchase one and get it put in.
Mhm.
For some reason that it was not a standard feature.
Yeah.
So I did buy it, but of course they couldn't put it in right away. In the meantime, I was meeting my parents in Ocean City, which is like a 3-hour drive to the ocean. And I wasn't going to be like listening to the sound of the wind, as Ron West says. So I put my boombox in the passenger seat because we didn't have phones that played. So
yeah, I could see it. Yeah. In the scramble to hit record, I wonder if the statistics of recording related injuries in the 80s are down now. You know what I mean? I wonder what the numbers are.
I would actually stand there like this. I would use my stereo though, like this, waiting to press play record.
Right. And sometimes they'd come in at the end and blow it at B104, and that's a journey. Like we needed to know that, so much for our, pristine recording.
I actually worked for B104.
You did?
I did. I was a college intern for B104 up on there on Television Hill. We were at the bottom, and then Channel 13 was at the
Well, those
top.
were your slumming days. Now this is the big time. Now
Yeah.
you're Snaggletooth. So,
So yeah, but I was always they would put me on work to do for the studio for the station. Like we had to have so much public relations content, like you're required, I guess you still are by the FCC, to have so much content that's for the public good.
this is the stuff that they play at like 3:00 in the
Yes,
morning when nobody's
exactly.
listening. Yeah.
That's what I worked on. Like the Adkins show. Remember Adkins
Oh
and
my
that thing?
God.
We had an Adkins show, and I would have to actually cut the commercials into it so they could just play it at 3 a.m. And the DJs were always being assholes trying to kick me out of the studio, and they weren't even doing studio work. They were like doing their own side projects, so I would always win. And they were all, I didn't like any of them. They were horrible to me.
I was such a nice little boy at some point. I know that's hard to believe, but there was a time when I was a Cub Scout. I got all the way to Star Scout, I believe,
Oh,
or it
wow.
might have just been first class. I can't remember. I had merit badges. I was an altar boy, and I was not molested, luckily. It's kind of a miracle. But our local station's top 5 at 10 made me into the rock and roll casualty that I am now. The same 5 songs every goddamn night, and I would always tune in, and they would change the order sometimes, but it was always Billy Idol, Flesh for Fantasy, Twisted Sister, one of their songs, White Snake, Slow and Easy. That one really got me. Scorpion, Still Loving You, Rat, Round and Round, stuff from The Crew,
I
stuff
now
from
think it's a
Dio.
Geico commercial.
Yeah, and that music got its hooks into me, and next thing I know, it was nothing but heavy metal and females, and all that sweet little boy was gone. So, God, remember Casey.
They still play it at some radio station around here
Who
on
the
Sunday
fuck-
nights.
Who the fuck is listening to that?
Yeah.
You have
Sometimes,
so many choices, America. Jesus.
sometimes on Sunday nights, it would be driving back at Beyond in the car, and I feel like the need to listen to it. And then I'm like, oh, this was dumb. But I always remember, they always used to do that long distance dedication, which had nothing to do with the top 40. It was just always some rambling song like, I wrote this letter because I was having a horrible day, and you had some kind word at some god-awful laundromat when my dog died, and I was so sad, and you said something, and here goes this song to you, The Wind Beneath My Wings, or some such shit nobody
Casey, if
wanted
you
to
could
hear.
play REO's Time for Me to Fly in memory of Mr. Whiskers. Now you have Debbie Downers posting that shit on Facebook all the
my
time. So they have an
God.
outlet now. They don't need Casey.
But I'm like,
Long live Mr. Whiskers.
you wrote a letter about this that probably got
I don't
months
believe.
later?
I always thought they were just manufacturing.
They probably were.
There's no proof that Mr. Whiskers was actually injured. So
Yeah, they never actually used, I
you were
believe.
comparing it to like what's this? I don't understand the misconnections thing.
Oh, they had on Craigslist.
I was never big on Craigslist. But go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to like, if you
This
want
is
to sell something
another creepy way men could stalk you.
or get killed on, by the Craigslist killer.
The Craigslist killer.
That you could put up missed connections. Like you thought you had a moment with someone,
It's so creepy.
but what are the chances, that they're going to read this thing? But it was always like, you were ordering at Starbucks. You had a lot of extra things put into your coffee, including a curious mix of soy and almond milk in equal proportions. I stood behind you, admiring your behind. As you finished harassing the barista, You left and shot me a vindictive look. Please contact me here. I think we might have had a moment.
Get the fuck out of here. That was a real thing.
Yeah, it's there. They're still, as far as I know, they're still in there. Like,
I thought you just used. I went on Craigslist and I was like, this is like the Atari 2600 of websites. Like, they can't do any better than this. It looks like it was like when the internet was just invented. It was just text. And I mean, it looked creepy. It looked creepy.
You were gorgeous, but you were farting. I was waving ciabatta bread to to wave off the stench. I think we had a moment. I'm like, what are you doing? You're doing it wrong.
There's this time, this one time, I took my daughter to Subway, and it was one of these Subways. I guess I wasn't watching her that close. I was trying to order my sandwiches or our sandwiches, and it was one of those Starbucks where they just put the chips out loose in front of them. And it was funny. I was ordering our food, and I was looking at the people in line, and I just saw the faces go. And it was like time stood still, and I turned around and I realized that my daughter had grabbed and popped 3 bags of chips. It was sprayed out everywhere. And as everyone gaped in horror, I just said, yeah, we'll take those too. Yeah.
Yeah, my kids were always a trip. My youngest, if he was tired, overheated, had a headache, he would always throw up. No matter what was going on with him. If he was slightly inconvenienced, he'd throw up.
Yeah.
Oh, we actually took him to the doctor because I thought there might be something wrong with him. But he's like, he just has a funny stomach after 42
He
tests.
had like an automatic yak button too. I used to call it the Exorcist kid. Yeah.
But he was just like, I was dragging them for some reason. We took the light rail downtown for a fun day.
Okay.
And it was really cold out, so I had him really bundled up. And we get in this inside mall, and it's busy, and I'm trying to herd the children, and we're trying to find somewhere to have lunch. All of a sudden, as we get in front of Johnny Rockets, because I did not take his coat off, he yacked all in front of Johnny Rockets. People were eating. Yeah, it was lovely.
Mm.
But in, true kid fashion, I got his coat off, got him calmed down. We sat down. He ordered a cheeseburger. He inhaled it and was fine.
I guess he had room then. Yeah. So remember that friend of mine I was telling you about, the fake ID thing? Agent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about him the other day, speaking of throwing up. He had a very interesting talent that I could never emulate. Like, we would go out and we'd have a night of drinking. Next day we're in like Waffle House or Denny's eating, with all the other
at 2 in the morning.
With all the other hungover people. And he was the only guy I ever knew who he'd excuse himself halfway through eating, go yak in the bathroom, and he'd come back and finish his omelet or whatever. I found that admirable. I could not. Once I vomited, I was pretty much done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's it.
yeah. Don't you think it's kind of weird also, just I'll run the subject, that Panera has a $25 lobster sandwich. Like, everything else in there is like, what, $7 or $8, something like that, maybe 10 with the drink. Then they have a lobster sandwich that's, who the fuck is going to Panera to spend $50 on 2 sandwiches?
Yeah, I don't think that.
Are they out back catching lobsters?
I don't think they are. And I'd like, to say that probably not your go-to place for seafood.
Exactly.
Just want to put that out there.
We used to have a rule when I was traveling a lot that you never get seafood in a landlocked state ever.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So like
it's
Maryland's fine,
frozen.
Virginia's fine, but when you're in Iowa, you're not getting a crab cake there. It's got to be steak.
Well, you can get one, but it ain't going to be a crab cake.
It ain't gonna be good. No,
It's going to be a fish cake.
Yeah.
Frozen fish cake.
Yeah.
When
you select a restaurant based on time constraint, price point, it would be like Subway offering the $30 couscous and caviar sub. I mean, no one's going for that.
Burger King, filet mignon, have it your way.
McDonald's.
With
I would normally get the quarter pounder, but I just got paid, so let's get the milk-fed veal burger with Grey Poupon mustard for $25.
Yeah,
It's not gonna.
I don't think it goes together well.
Yeah, that's not having it my way. All right, time for some more music. Let's play some Exhumed. This is off the new album. It's called Necrotica.
And now a word from our sponsor, which I'm also, I'm not only a member, I'm also a client or something.
Huh.
What was that hair club for men?
I already talked about my member.
So if you haven't heard before, you're going to hear it one more time. A product that I love, sponsor of the Snaggletooth Decay podcast, whether they like it or not, is Hum Nutritionals. This is an online company. I believe they're out of California. They make great products. I never thought I would wake up in the morning and take a handful of supplements, but once you try these products, you will be hooked. Why? Because they actually work. And I've been shocked to think, I've used topical things that say they reduce fine lines, or, even I took gummies for a while for hair and nails. Never noticed any difference. And I didn't expect at first any difference from these products. They actually work.
Much better than rubbing habanero in your.
Yeah, I've been a mess all day today. Red carpet. This actually helps work with black currant seed oil. This is great for your hair, makes your hair nice and thick. And I don't have thick hair. I've noticed a huge change. I started to take this one. Arctic Repair for those fine lines. Anything topical you can put on is only going to go down so far into the dermis. The top layers are dead anyway. Why not do it from the inside out? This helps with wrinkles and helping the skin hold on to hydration better, making you look better. Over 50 years old, people, you got to start somewhere. Also, Wingman is great if you're a drinker. Helps detoxify that liver, and who wouldn't need that in this house? Also, unexpectedly help with my dark circles. Wingman is an awesome product. Didn't really think it would work. Notice the difference. My latest addition is Skinny Bird. This has ingredients that help take away your stress eating. Actually, go into your brain in the hunger center and tell it, hi, I'm full. So, as well as balance it out with extra fat burners. And this isn't something that's going to make you nervous or caffeinate you up or get you hyper. It doesn't do that. It has natural fat burners like green tea. So awesome products. Raw Beauty by Hum. You put a scoop of this into your smoothie and you have your kale fix, and you'll never taste it. It comes in this is vanilla and berry. They also have it in chocolate chip mint. So you can have your kale and never taste it. Hum Nutritionals. Use our link and you will save $20 off your first order of $39 or more.
It's time for Wax of Contrition. Okay. This week, we got a couple of really tasty vinyl goodies for you. Start off with one of my favorite records, Pestilence's 88 debut, Malleus Maleficarum.
That looks like a painting from like the medieval times.
Yeah, I believe so. I think I kind of teased it last show because I held up Altars of Madness, and I said that this gorgeous blue looks perfect next to the green of the first Pestilence album. Well, here it is. Yes, this album, I remember seeing a lot of used copies of it back in the day because I don't think people could take it. I mean, these guys are duchies, but not all duchies are mellow. This is one of the most caustic it's kind of like early death metal, late thrash records.
They have a lot of hair in their faces.
Oh my gosh, Martin Van Drunen, the man, the myth, the legend. I had some lyrics I wanted to share with you that I thought might hit close to home for the song that we're going to play. It's called Chemotherapy. Undergo of radiation, diatribe of your hair, monitors, x-rays, injections, consequence you have to bear. Skin is turning black, forced to take liquid food, vexations, or you share, even loss of manhood. Anyway, also recommend the Digipack because I got a thing for Digipacks, but this includes it's a 2 CD Digipack.
Ooh.
And it includes their demos, which are awesome. They're black and white demos.
It's really cool.
Remastered, the Dysentery demo and Teutonic Invasion. I'm sorry. The Dysentery demo and the Penance demo, both fantastic. I mean, sounds much better than trying to listen to it off YouTube. So you kind of need both. So anyway, let's play Chemotherapy.
Personally, I did not have to go the route of chemotherapy. It was bad enough. Radiation was bad enough.
Yep. Okay. Wax of Contrition continues.
Ooh, there's more. But wait, there's more.
We teased it last week.
Now, how much would you spend?
The new Defleshed has dropped.
Yay!
Grind over matter.
Waiting for this a long time.
We couldn't resist it. Congratulations, Gus. It's awesome.
We have a thing for heads on spikes. It seems every show.
You know, both of our shows, Swedish bands, we have the intro. Both shows, very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so this is the new Defleshed Grind over matter. And full lyrics, of course.
Wow.
Nice insert. Picture of our heroes there in the corner. And check out the vinyl. Look at that. Gorgeous.
Amazing.
Heads on spikes. Gold.
Swirlies.
Excellent. Let's
Kind
play a
of
song.
foggy looking.
Let's blow it up. This is, where am I? Let's play Bent Out of Shape. All right. So
And let's reiterate that you can get Gus's Grind Over Matter on Amazon.
Yeah.
Could be easier.
Well, it's Metal Blade is the lid, so
Yeah.
they got really good
You-
distribution.
Can't even, won't even have to get in your car and go drive to the record store. It's
Crash
amazing.
your brains out to Defleshed. Yeah. So
Thoroughly recommend.
okay, so let's introduce the interview now with Matt. Turned out great. It was nice to chat with him finally. Exhumed has been one of my favorite bands for ages.
Quite the lyricist he is.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, another kindred spirit of the show. So here it is. Here's our interview with Matt Harvey of Exhumed. Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for agreeing to do this. We've been fans of Exhumed for ages, years and years. So
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet of you.
yeah, it's very sweet music. I mean, you know, come on.
Right? Full of tender moments and all that
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to suck up wearing the Pounder shirt.
You did earn some brownie points.
There you go, right off the bat. See, I don't fool around. Yeah.
Bring an
have
apple
one.
for the teacher. What's that?
I never have them in my size. I don't know why.
Oh, sorry.
You do have some great merch, though. I love the hot sauce. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
We were trying to figure out what in the world goes with like thrash, death metal, and hot sauce. We saw it at Maryland Death Fest. There was actually a hot sauce stand.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like an extreme metal thing.
I was
Interesting.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those things. Actually, Ross had gotten the guy that does him is a friend of Ross's, and he had done something for Ghoul before.
Yeah.
And Ross wasn't 100% happy with just the way it was handled on the band end, in terms of them like doing the branding and marketing with it. And he's like, we should do it. And I was like, I like hot sauce, like, sure. And we kind of went through a couple different iterations of it. Not the final one. There was one before that I thought was perfect. And I was like, oh, I put this on everything. Yeah. But the guy, Kyle, that made it, he's like, I agree, this is a very delicious hot sauce, but it's not like an Exhumed hot sauce. Like, it has to be pretty like extreme flavor, right? Because this was like something you just like put on your fucking eggs and shit, like
right.
Tapatio or
chunks of brain in it or anything.
Yeah. Right. And he's like, no, it's got to be more extreme. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. I think the hot sauce is fucking delicious, but I got to be careful with it because it tastes so good. Before I know it, I'm just like,
sweating. Yeah. We have a garden, and this year we grew habaneros, and there's like a million of them. It's like scary. We can't keep up.
I could send you several bags for free of charge.
Every time I look out back and I'm like, babe, there's more orange, and I'll come in with 18 habaneros. Like, what are you doing? We're putting them in sandwiches. We're putting them in eggs. We're putting them in everything.
Yeah. In case you guys need more stuff, I love the video for Drained of Blood. Everybody's yakking. Was that hard to do?
No, it was. I mean, it's all special effects. We weren't really throwing up, but it was. I mean, the video was actually like a lot smoother than I kind of thought. We really. This was like the most planned out video that I think we've ever done. We stopped short of like storyboards, but I came up with like a treatment, and then we sort of had multiple meetings with the director, like, like hour and a half Zoom calls where we're like, this scene's going to work. This scene is not going to work. This scene might work. We'll try it, blah, blah, blah. And then once we were getting close to doing it, Ross really took over and he got all the costumes and did, the set design and stuff. And then he also worked with the director in terms of the editing. So it really helps to have like someone in your band with an art degree.
Yeah, I kind of love the Revolutionary War era feel. And then the dude, the all white kind of old surgeon dude in the white with the splat. Is he also the guy on the hot sauce bottle? Is he like a mascot?
Yes.
What is?
And he is basically our mascot. He was on the cover of the last album, and this album he's sort of shadowy in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, we just call him Dr. Filthy.
Okay. Yeah. Gotta have a mascot. Yeah.
I mean, I guess Dr. Phil is sort of a dated pop cultural reference at this point, but I don't know. It makes us laugh. So yeah, he comes out during our shows, and it's like a whole, it's a thing.
Do you have somebody specific who always plays him, or is it always somebody different?
We had the same guy for years, but then he got a wife and a career, and now he just sort of helps us out here and there. Like that's him in the video. The guy that kind of created the character along with us, But then since then we've had a couple different people. So it's just like once you're a homeowner like making really good money, all of a sudden you can't just be like, hey, I'm just gonna like split in a van and like it's not even my band. I'm just a guy with a chainsaw. I guess that doesn't
Shocked
go over.
that he didn't consider that a career. It's interesting. Yeah, being Dr. Phil, right?
Right.
Yeah. What is your instrument in the band? The chainsaw.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We've had some serious difficulties like explaining that, like going through customs, and they're like, well, he's in the band. Well, what does he do? I'm like, okay, so, and they're like, no, but like, does he play an instrument? Well, not technically. And it turned into a whole thing. And then there was another tour where it was a European tour we got offered, and they're like, well, it's X amount of money. I was like, that sounds good. And it's X amount of time. I was like, that sounds great. And it's like, well, it's 4 bunks in the bus. And I was like, well, there's 5 of us. And they're like, well, not really. There's 4 of you. I was like, no, really, there's 5 of us. And we ended up not doing that tour. Long story short, I was just like, well, This is what we do. And like, we're either going to do our whole show, or if we're not going to do our whole show, you got to pay us a lot more to like compromise.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
Can be bought, just not that cheaply.
Right. I can't imagine something like that because I've gone through a lot of different customs. I think that it's one thing to go through U.S. customs, whatever. But when you're going through like Mexican customs and they got machine guns, or you're down south and you got to explain to the guy with the machine gun, all right, so we got a chainsaw here and we don't plan on killing anybody. I mean, I can't imagine.
I have
They're so intimidating,
actually, about that. We played a festival in Mexico about like maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. And I brought my bullet belt to wear on stage. And so they pulled me aside and they're like, what is this? And I was, I speak very little Spanish, but I was trying to explain like, these are not real bullets. It's just like an outfit for my heavy metal band, this and that. And they're like, well, this caliber of bullet is illegal. And I was like, yeah, I know, but they're not like actual bullets.
Right.
Anyway, long story short, I ended up, they took me to jail.
Oh God.
First they like took me like to this weird like doctor place to examine me to make sure the police like didn't beat me up, which they didn't. They were actually fairly nice for people arresting me. And then I ended up spending the night in jail, missing the show by the time they finally, because they needed to get a translator in order to legally have me like fill out the paperwork. Obviously I couldn't, I would have no idea what I was signing in Spanish.
Right.
So it took him like hours to get a translator. So by the time the translator got there, we went through all the paperwork, blah, 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 blah. We played it like, 4 in the afternoon at this big festival with like Judas Priest and shit. So by the time I finally got out of jail, we were done playing, or they were done playing. I was in jail. And I got to the show, right? And then I found everybody and was like, okay. So that was bad. But I'm still able to go back into Mexico with no problem. So I don't know. Couldn't have been that serious.
Well, I'll tell you the story. I've told it on the show before, but I saw Metallica on Master Puppets tour when they opened for Ozzy, and I had to throw my bullet belt away because like I could hear the intro to Battery starting up, And they were like,
Right. And
this is a weapon. And I'm like, take my pants. I don't care. I've got
you're
to see
right.
this. Fuck this. You know, it was, and luckily we got to see it. And it was surreal because like so many people were like milling around, you know how they do for the daytime
Sure.
bands. And I'm like, wow, people don't care. This is,
Yet.
it was, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
Well, you're very well preserved for someone that saw that tour.
Oh, I think I appreciate it. Just keep it up. I love it.
I'm
Yeah.
his cosmetologist.
She
I'll
is-
take complete
She's
credit.
my Satanist
You do
and
great work.
cosmetologist. Yeah.
I could use your help.
Well,
Mm.
you've been at this since you were 15. What do you think are the biggest changes in the music industry today, the way people consume or exhume music
I like
these
that.
days? See what I did there?
Yeah, exactly.
I do. I like that. I mean, obviously the internet kind of has changed everything. In some ways, it's been bad, but really I think that the good aspects of it far outweigh the bad. Obviously in the days of record stores and stuff, once a label went out of business or a record went out of print or whatever, it was just sort of gone.
Yeah.
So things would stick around for a few years and then you just sort of wouldn't be able to find them anymore at all. And with the internet, basically nothing is ever out of print unless, I guess, unless an artist owns their own music and is fiercely like chasing down people, putting it on YouTube because they don't want anyone to hear it, which I don't know of an example of that. But basically everything is out there forever. And, it's really, it's just enabled so many younger people to get into all kinds of different shit. I don't know if there's a comparable thing in other genres because I'm only really, I spend all my time in metal, but in metal, you meet kids who are, in high school or just out of high school. And they're like, they know everything about this band and that band and whatever obscure band from the early 90s or the mid 80s or whatever their, sort of particular thing is. And, these bands have been able to have really like kind of unnaturally protracted careers, really, which is fucking awesome for somebody like me. It's great. So, of course it's disruptive and certain things have changed. And then there's some guys my age and older who are like angry that like kids know about stuff or kids think they know about stuff. I don't know. I'm not, I'd see them on my Facebook friends list and just be like, oh, okay, all right.
I know what you're talking about.
Where
were they when the Morbid Angel demos came out? Fuckers.
Right.
I know the type. Yeah, I know.
Because I mean, I do think about it because obviously I get asked this kind of stuff fairly often. And I think, if I was to go back in time and talk to myself and like our group of friends in high school that were all into this kind of music and just be like, in the future, you can get every Morbid Angel demo simply by typing on a computer. And they'd be like, wait, what? Typing?
Yeah.
All right, hold on, kid. It's going to blow your mind,
Yeah.
Or yelling it out to your Google Home speaker. I need this now.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of going back in time, we were talking about this last week. I think I came up with the ultimate. If I could go back in time and meet my old self, I would give him my expired license. Ultimate fake ID. Because it's me.
Dude.
There you go.
I've never heard that before. And I can't believe
it just came to me. I was like, what could they do? It looks just like me. Bring on the alcohol. Yeah. So.
Oh my God. You need to like make a meme. You see all those memes like girls with a time machine, boys with a time machine.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking solid gold.
Isn't that great? Yeah. If only. We spent so much time trying to get served back then. I don't know if this generation can really appreciate the dance that we did trying to get just a beer, hang out in parking lots, whatever.
I was very lucky. My dad, like once I turned 16, my dad was like, look, I'm not an idiot. If you guys are gonna drink beer, like just I'll buy the fucking beer. Just you pay for it. I had a job. I had to work. He was like, you give me the money, I will buy the beer at the grocery store. You guys just drink beer in the garage.
Yeah.
Stay out of fucking trouble.
That is very progressive thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we did. And then we found a round table pizza when I was about 17, 18 that would serve us. And then I grew a crappy beard. And then depending on who was working at the 7-Eleven by my house, sometimes I could get beer, sometimes I couldn't.
Yeah. That's good times. Yeah.
all your vivid gore imageries and your magnificent. I loved the magnificent maestros of malingering maladies. I love that.
Oh, that's good.
Maladies. Do you have any phobias or fears that inspire any of that, or?
You know, I do write about some stuff that scares me. I think the thing I guess that scares me now, and it is a theme that sort of keeps coming back, is just I'm kind of always taken aback and terrified by people's ability to sort of become desensitized to other people, to look at somebody else and just be like, oh, well, fuck them because blank, or those people are blank. And it's not even, as sort of crude or obvious as like racism, although certainly there's racism, but, just putting people in categories and being able to sort of close yourself off to other people because of that. I think that really, I've always known that I was there, but the people's capacity for it, I feel like I find more and more frightening as time goes on.
I mean, like cancel culture? Is that what you're talking about? Like that sort of thing?
I think it goes from both sides. I'm a little less afraid of cancel culture than I am afraid of people that just make really broad assumptions, like, all transgender people are going to rape you in the bathroom or whatever. Or, all people that are seeking abortion are irresponsible or slutty or horrible or whatever.
Right.
But it does echo back to cancel culture too. It's like, hey, this guy said one horrible thing 15 years ago. Let's all, assume he's never grown, never progressed.
Right.
And instead of talking to him about it and trying to engage him, fuck him, we can't shut ourselves off to each other if we want to have any kind of meaningful existence. Some of the more like violent stuff that we sing about, it's more, that doesn't really scare me as much as I find it weird, like that somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer could exist. Like, how does that even happen? But I think the more mundane sort of lack of empathy or disassociation that I see in people, that I find scary, and that we write about in Exhumed. I'm scared of lots of stuff, but that one, that's more like what I touch on anyway in Exhumed.
I'd like to note that at this time, the #1 show on Netflix is Dahmer in the United States. So there we go.
And
that says something about us.
I think we could have sold Disgusted as the theme song for that.
Well, that one is it is like a serial killer type song. Yeah. Basically, it's somebody who's having these sort of homicidal impulses, and they are disgusted by these impulses, but then eventually they turn it around and give in to the impulses and let everybody else be disgusted by them. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know.
Did you see the series?
Well. I've seen the first couple episodes. I haven't caught up with it yet, but I really liked what I saw. The first one was actually it was pretty intense. Like, shit, man. Especially knowing that it's all based on a true story and everything else. It felt really grimy and really raw and in your face,
Yeah. Well acted though, for sure.
Really well done.
I mean, I actually felt sorry for him.
I remember, it's funny what you're saying. I remember riding on the bus when I was a teenager, and I had a Walkman. So again, not it's been years, and I had on Cannibal Corpse had just come out with the album that has Hammer Smash Face on it.
Right.
And I didn't realize it, but I was kind of saying the lyrics out loud while I was headbanging, and the people on the bus were like,
right.
What the fuck did he just say? And I was like, you know what? Mind your own business. Read your magazine.
Well, at least hopefully they were the big headphones.
No, they were the little spongy 80s ones.
Shit.
I was just you think it's over, it's not over. No, sorry.
Yeah,
no, please don't judge me.
I see people like walking down the street talking to themselves, and I'm like, that lady seems pretty together for a homeless person. And it was like, oh, she's got her little fucking earbuds in. I couldn't see it. And she's talking to somebody on the phone.
Right.
Randomly talking to herself.
She's got a Gucci handbag and she's talking to herself.
Right.
Do you guys think you have like a stereotypical type fan, or does it really vary from place to place?
I mean, I think we do insofar as most metal fans are generally, straight white males between the ages of, 16 and 45, generally atheists. A lot of them have jackets with like too many patches on them and stuff.
Yeah, that's our friend. We're friends with Alan from Primordial, the band Primordial, and he said it's ugly dudes playing ugly music. I think that just kind of
Yeah, I mean,
says it all.
I will say this, one thing that's been really encouraging is that I have seen more and more kids at our shows, younger kids. And I have seen more women at our shows, which is cool,
Yeah.
It's certainly, I mean, compared to when I was going to shows as a kid, when it was like 200 dudes and like
Yeah.
3 of those dudes' girlfriends that didn't want to be there.
Right, exactly. I remember those days. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Now that we're at 200 dudes and like 45 women, and 5 of those women don't want to be there. So that's like a major improvement,
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I think, metal's for everybody that vibes with it, whether you're male, female, or whatever. I will say one thing about our fans that I'm really excited about is that we did, after the Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe versus Wade, we did like a benefit shirt, and very quickly we raised like triple the amount of money. I was like, maybe we could raise $1,000. That'd be cool. And like immediately, like we raised like $3,000.
That's great.
And we did it again and raised even more. So I will say that our fans, are cool.
Yeah.
They're down with protecting, women's access to healthcare, which I think is pretty awesome. And
I remember
usually
the only show that was worse in terms of male versus female than like Malevolent and Immolation was Rush.
Really?
I went to Rush and I was like, are there any women here at all? This was like in the 80s. Wow, this is like death metal, is what this is.
That tracks 100%.
Oh yeah. Well,
Your artwork is especially on the latest. Oh my god, I love the vinyl with the blood splatter. Brilliant. We might have to have that. But it's so tattoo worthy. Has anybody like come up to show you their tattoo?
I've seen a few different Exhumed tattoos. Yeah. Actually, there's an acquaintance of mine that got like a huge back piece of not this album. Well, this album wasn't out yet, but she just recently got it. And I was really, I felt sort of bad. I mean, it looked great, but I was just like, oh, I feel like, like
you're branded for life.
You could have picked a cooler band. I don't know. But it was really flattering. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of different Exhumed tattoos, and it always like, it's really flattering, but it also makes me like kind of like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I work for an eye doctor, so I was showing him your album To the Dead today, and he's like, "You really should get the tattoo with the glass with the eyeballs in it." I'm like, "I know, right?"
That's perfect.
At least it's vocational, right?
Right. It's vaguely related. I mean, we did a record quite a while back now called Anatomy is Destiny, and it's just like a dark thing with like you could sort of see somebody's eyeball like prepping for surgery with the little clamp opening it up.
Yeah.
And anyway, with the optometry thing, I thought you might.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, nothing grosses people out more than when I used to work for a retinal place that we did injections. That freaks everybody the hell out. I'm like, they really don't feel anything.
Injections in the eyes.
Mhm.
Wow.
I think eyeballs and fingers tend to be the things that people are like, oh, like
That's
whenever
where they draw
they
the
see it in
line.
a movie, it's like, oof, yeah.
I wanted to comment the new album. I love the solos. What's the one song? Necrotica, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's one.
Wow. I was playing it for her today. I'm like, listen, it's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and an end. You don't hear that a lot in death metal, or actually any metal. It reminded me of like the old Thin Lizzy type stuff where they were crafted. I mean, great stuff,
That's really cool. I mean, that's something that Sebastian and I talk about a lot. I mean, also just Thin Lizzy in general, but you know, we try to, obviously the style of music we're playing is quite abrasive and extreme. And because it has all those elements, we try to make it as musical as possible in other ways. And one of the, Sebastian's been playing, he's the new guy, but he's been with us now for like 5 years. And, before he joined the band, we were friends and we were talking, and a lot of death metal guys, of course, they want to talk about Morbid Angel and they want to talk about Carcass. They want to talk about this and that. And I was like, so how do you feel about like Richie Blackmore? And he's like, oh yeah, dude. And he just started playing like Maybe I'm a Leo. And I was like, whoa, okay. Like, how do you feel about Gary Moore? And then he just starts playing Waiting for an Alibi. And I was like, well, what about Uli? And then he starts, playing fucking not Speedy's Coming, but I forget, some early Scorpion song. And I was like, okay, cool. Michael Schenker, like these are the guys when I think of like what is a good guitar player, that's who I think of. And playing the style of music that we do, it's hard to find somebody that loves this style of music and also is coming from that perspective. So I think Sebastian was the perfect choice, and I think that we bounce off each other pretty well.
We're comes through on the new album. Absolutely. The thing with Uli is, when is he going to stop singing? Like, stop. That was,
the bridge of the song where he's going to play an awesome guitar solo. You're like, oh yeah, that's why I put up with this singing.
Like my friend would say, how's the Scorpions? I'd be like, he's still singing. I don't know what. I don't get it. Just stop. The Klaus handle, and then Taken by Force. Finally, they figure it out.
Yes,
it's all Klaus.
That's my favorite.
That album's so fucking incredible. Yeah.
Coincidence? Maybe not, but
I don't think so. No,
that is.
Hey, speaking of guitarists, I wanted to ask you what happened with Bud Burke, because Necrocracy is my album. I mean, I just love that record. I mean, and again, I don't want to oversimplify it, but I remember when I first heard that record, I thought they're almost in like All That Remains territory. I mean, it's that melodic. We've got the twin harmonies.
Right.
I think, I loved it, but like what happened? What was the story with that? Did he want out or what happened?
Bud is kind of a hard guy to like put your finger on. When you're in a band with somebody, you spend a lot of time with them, you kind of get some insight into why they're doing it. And with Bud, I don't really know. And I don't think he knew either. And I think he was just sort of, he was happy to be in the band, but he didn't really care. Be like, oh, well, we're going to do this and we're going to get this and this picture disc and this record. He's like, all right, whatever. And I'll be like, well, here's all your like copies of the new album. He's like, just give me like one CD. And I was like, that's it? You don't want the shirt? He's like, I won't wear it. And, we go on tour and he would just be like, okay, whatever. And he also just is not a great communicator. Like you'd call him like, hey, we got this offer. And then he wouldn't call you back. He wouldn't text you back. And, it was great because he wasn't like up and it was a really easygoing dynamic in the band, but it was too easygoing. And there was like 2 different tours that he ended up not doing. And after the second one, I was like, all right, man, like I love you, buddy. But we got to find somebody else. And he's like, all right, that's cool, man.
Yeah. Just super easygoing. Yeah. I thought you were going to say he did the Robbo Motorhead thing and wore like red ballerina shoes to a show or whatever. Yeah. I love all those Robbo versus Lemmy stories,
So should we play our game?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a game?
Right.
Yes, we play a game. It's great.
Yeah. Although we've had to randomize it because everyone kept picking a certain number. So I won't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
I have questions, random questions, 1 through 85. So I want you to pick 5 numbers.
Whew. Okay. 67.
Wow.
41. 12. 53. 32. 31. Is that enough?
I think we got 5.
We got
1,
5.
2, 3.
Well, I lost count.
There we go.
Seeing random ass numbers and I couldn't remember how.
Well, you win the award. You didn't pick number 7.
Yeah, that's
so we won't have to talk about your go-to dance move. Don't worry.
He's up in the higher registers. Yeah.
All right. Number 67. What would you call a male ladybug?
I wouldn't assume the ladybug's gender. I have dude bug, I guess, because dude is sort of gender neutral anyway.
I like that. Yeah.
I call my mom dude. I call everybody everybody's dude.
I love it.
That's a good one. Yeah.
All right, 41. Do you consider yourself a do the dishes person or let them soak person?
I'm a do the dishes person 100%. I hate procrastination.
You know who we asked that question to? And he said exactly what you said, Gene Hoglan.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can do some motherfucking dishes." Yeah, like,
I
okay,
make my
okay,
bed
okay.
every morning too. You know.
yeah.
All right, number 12. How do you take your coffee?
I don't drink coffee. Tea. So
Oh, you're a tea man. Okay.
Yeah, more a teetotaler.
Yeah.
I'm not a teetotaler at all. But I do drink tea. Also, as well as beer.
Yeah, I got that when I was reading. If you didn't like it, or listen again with another beer. 53. What would we find on the top of your refrigerator?
There is currently a cooler, like a big cooler that's empty, like a picnic basket, some spices that don't fit in the spice rack, and recently opened bottle of scotch.
Okay.
Ooh. I'd like to win those contests. All right, last one, number 32. What kind of car do you drive or prefer?
Totally different answers. My car is a real piece of shit. It's like a 2007 Dodge Caliber, like super base model, doesn't even have like power windows. So I either drive that or my wife's minivan or the band's van, none of which I would prefer. I would rather be driving like either, you know, something like really practical that gets great gas mileage, or like a Dodge Challenger or something, you know.
Yeah.
I like to drive really fucking fast if I can.
Gotta watch those speed cameras these days, though. Somebody keeps getting hit by them.
They move the cameras. It's terrible. Yeah.
So I loved on your social media post how you were asking the fans what they wanted to hear from your back catalog on these tours. Do you have a most requested song or songs?
It depends. I mean, you know, the weird thing is a lot of the answers people gave are songs we play every fucking tour anyway. It's like, well, no shit. We're gonna we've played Limb from Limb and like Open the Abscess like every night for like fucking 10 years straight now. Of course we're gonna play those. I always like when people pick like the really deep, obscure cuts, and then I generally get outvoted by the rest of the band because they're like, we don't even know that song. Like Mike's like, I've been playing in this band for 10 years and I've never heard of that song. I'm like, well, it's from this 1 7-inch. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to learn that.
I love Limb from Limb. I just want to say that. But I know what you're saying. Remember classic rock radio when people would call in and say, can you play Crazy Train by Ozzy? And you'd be like, they've played it 6 times today. What the hell is wrong with you? Like, are you on crack? Can you play Time by Pink Floyd for the 12th time? Like, really? That's the best you got? Yeah.
Enter Sandman, Smells Like Spirit, Hotel California,
right.
Satisfaction by the Stones.
How much did you pay this person to ask for this song? Yeah.
No shit. It's a program director. Just
Yeah, I fell in love with Carbonized. I love that one. At first, I was like, wait, is it Han Solo? But the video, just everyone smoking. I was like, okay.
It's about smoking corpses in an attempt to get stoned, but then ending up frying your brain with toxic chemicals because of dead bodies full of, you know, bad things.
And I hate that everything takes me back there, but have you seen the Genetic Rock Opera?
No, I don't know what that is.
It's this crazy movie. What was it, from the 90s?
No, it came out about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
The people from Saw decided to make a musical. And it's basically about in the future, everyone needs artificial organs.
Because everyone's organs just go up.
They just fail. And you have to pay for your organs. And if you miss a payment, the repo man comes and rips them out of you. That's the opera. Yeah, it's called Repo, the genetic opera.
But they have this underground, like this drug thing where they're making a drug from corpses.
Yeah.
And Paris Hilton is in it. She's completely addicted to it.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
And actually, but when you really drill into it, which of course I've done, we actually have the poster of it behind us.
Oh,
That's it
yeah.
right there.
Oh, okay.
There's an army of musical industry people that are involved in the soundtrack, like the drummer for Korn and the guy that there's it. They knew how to do the music basically, but the plot is insane.
I mean, I honestly, I kind of like the plot. I think it sounds. I
don't know
that
it's like so bad it's good,
Right,
Yeah.
right. It sounds like an excuse to rip somebody's guts out a bunch of time.
Yeah, he's singing and ripping. It's, I don't know. There's never seen anything like it. Yeah.
The end looks like some kind of crazy Gwar concert because there's just blood all over
the actors are literally slipping on the blood at the end while they're singing. It's crazy.
Oh, all right. You're selling me.
It's definitely the Royal School for overacting, though. I'll warn you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Definitely.
It's a musical. I think you can forgive it.
Did you see the Gwar documentary?
I have not seen it yet. Ross is like a Gwar fanatic, so I kind of figured when we're spending 5 weeks together, starting in a couple weeks, that I'm going to end up seeing it. So I was like, I'll wait, and I'll see it with him because he will, fill in the blanks or go wild. But I'm sure it's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's hilarious and sad and interesting. And
your tour starts the 10th, right? November 10th.
That sounds correct. Yes.
So we will actually be seeing you on the 29th.
Yeah.
Okay. Where is that? That's in
Baltimore.
Baltimore
Show. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
The Metro.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Please don't cancel because every show that we get tickets to has canceled. We had tickets to Wilder Run that canceled. We had tickets to the Dio thing. It canceled.
Well, Wilder Run that COVID, I think.
I think it's us. I don't know.
So don't get COVID, please. God.
Please sequester.
We're really trying not to. I mean, we toured last year in October and managed to not get COVID. Somebody got a sinus infection, but it wasn't COVID, so it was fine. So we just kept playing. But yeah, we're trying to stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing I love about you guys so much is you just have consistently stayed the course with traditional songwriting and so on brand. Are you the force behind that formula that keeps it so tight?
I mean, I guess I'm the primary songwriter, so I guess so. But I think that we made a conscious decision even before the first album, but Ross, myself, and our original drummer Cole, where we looked around at other bands and what was going on, and this is 96, maybe 95, and we thought, well, what is our thing? Like what is it that we do? And we noticed that we were getting more into listening to thrash and traditional metal and not so much like the tech stuff and the slam stuff that was kind of popular in the death metal scene at the time. As much as death metal wasn't particularly popular, the death metal that was popular we weren't really into. And so we thought, well, we can take this kind of traditional songwriting and this sort of pop songwriting sensibility, and we can bring it to this genre of music. And we're gonna instead of impressing everybody with how intricate these songs are, we're gonna just say the chorus 40 times, and then maybe somebody will remember it. And apparently we're still a band that's going on tour and stuff, so apparently that worked. But it can be kind of a tough sell because death metal fans, some of them I don't really understand where they're coming from, or I don't understand the things that impress them, I guess, don't impress me, and maybe vice versa. But that's okay. We're doing that's our thing, and that's what we're into.
Yeah, I liked how you said you're always looking for the hook. Where's the hook? Where's the hook? I like that because it really it makes your guys' stuff, that much more listenable to, I think, someone who might not have gotten into it before. You draw them in with that. Do you always start with music or lyrics at that hook, or where does it come from?
I used to write. Sometimes I would write lyrics first, but then we did an album in 2003, and there was just fucking nonstop singing over every single part, and I was like, okay, this is too much. Like we got the record back and I was like, I'm actually kind of ruining some of my own songs here. Like, taking a really good song and turning it into a just okay song. And so I just started a rule that I was like, I'm not writing fucking lyrics until I have music. Like if I get like a rhyme or like a title, yeah, sure, I write it down. But it's a lot. You're going to get something that's more catchy and feels more musical if you're writing lyrics to the music, I think. So we kind of let that be the guide. And then once the lyrics are in place, then we might change the music a little bit just to sort of give emphasis to the lyrics or whatever. But yeah, it's got to be with the music first, or else I'll just fucking write. I'll be like, I'm so smart. Look at these words. Great.
So am I going to see in 5 years? Am I going to see Exhumed playing gore metal in its entirety from front to back? Are you going to ever take that route?
We've talked about it because next year is the 25th anniversary.
Right, exactly.
I don't know if we're going to play the whole thing front to back or necessarily, but we're going to do something, and we've got a few kind of ideas percolating around right now. But we got a year because it came out in October, so we have basically a year.
Yeah, I saw Eric Johnson. He did the Avia Musicom front to back. He did that tour. And I'll tell you what, when that show was over, he ran for the trailer. He didn't want to talk to anybody. And I had such a desire to fuck with him. I wanted to bang on the door and be like, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. I don't know why. Because, he's such a hermit.
Because he ran away and he
literally ran away. Yeah, we came around the corner and saw him run for the van. He was not talking to anybody. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I have 14 things for you to sign, Mr. Johnson. Yeah, I really wanted to.
Well, we're usually, especially if we're playing last, we're usually at the bar right after we get done. If we don't have to load out right away, I'd like to just have a couple beers and relax, and then load all the fucking gear.
Yeah, we were just saying today how some of your melodies remind us a little bit of Defleshed, right? And they have a beer. Where's the Exhumed beer? Because I would drink a good Exhumed IPA.
We that is one sort of tie-in that has eluded us. We talked to a couple of people. I live in a real small town kind of area in California. And we talked to a couple of people. I used to have a friend that was I still have the friend, but he moved. But he used to brew in my town. He's since moved out of town. So that avenue kind of closed. And then I had a couple local people that were jockeying to do something. And then the pandemic hit and then they moved. And then a brewery in Oakland did a beer, which is not too far from where we're from originally. They did an Exhumed themed beer, but I didn't know about it.
Oh, wow.
The guy it wasn't it didn't have our logo on it. It just was named after one of our songs. I think it was Casket Crusher. And he had actually messaged me, but it was in the Facebook spam folder or Instagram message requests or something. And I found it way later. And I was like, dude, whatever happened with this? He's like, oh yeah, we made the beer. It was really good. But it's all gone now. I was like, okay, but do you want to do it again? He's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And then I don't know if he never got back to me or I never got back to him, but we're all fairly big beer drinkers.
Yeah.
It seems like a natural, but just the right kind of, cross promotional, what's the word I was looking? Synergy. There we go. I was like, what's the most corporate word? Synergy has not occurred yet. So
collaboration.
So what? Right. Tell me a death metal album that you listen to and you think, God, I wish I would have written that. Why the fuck couldn't I have come up with that?
There's a lot of them. When I listen to a record like Leprosy or Seven Churches or Symphonies of Sickness or Utopia Banished or Severed Survival, Mental Funeral, Dark Recollections, Left Hand Path.
The New Autopsy is really good too.
It is really good. It's really good. Most of the records from when I was a kid, just that blew me away. All the records sort of without which there would be no Exhumed. but then again, when we did the gruesome records, it was kind of like, I wish I had written Leprosy. It's like, all right, well, I'll just write my version of Leprosy. And so I just did that for fun anyway.
Yeah. I used to have this friend, like late teens, early 20s, and we would regularly practically come to blows over whether Lombardo or Charlie Benatti was better.
Oh my God.
And I have a feeling that if I bumped into him now, it would start up again. I would be like, Lombardo, bitch. Lombardo.
I mean, I'll say this. I think that they're both excellent and in very different ways, though. I feel like Benante is more controlled and consistent. Lombardo is more dynamic and exciting. I prefer Lombardo, but a buddy of mine, Will Carroll from Death Angel, great drummer, old buddy of mine. We had a very long discussion.
Yeah.
He really opened up my eyes to actually how great a drummer Charlie Benante was. And
he is great.
Yeah, I was never like a huge Anthrax fan. I like Anthrax, but
because they're so fucking goofy and cartoony, and every time they did something right, they did 3 things you hated. I know.
But he really kind of gave me an appreciation for Charlie's drumming, and I do think very highly of it. And not only is he a great drummer, he wrote a lot of their fucking best riffs too.
Yeah, it's true. So here's a question for you: would you agree with this statement? This is another dividing the headbangers question. I say there are no bad Carcass albums. Would you agree?
I definitely think some are significantly better than others, but I don't think any of them are bad.
I love Swan Song. I know that's
I like
enough to get me barred from some forums.
I like Swan Song a lot. People have asked me that like sarcastically, and I'm like, no, I think Swan Song is great.
They change styles and they kick ass. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I like the fact that all the first 4 records are all kind of drastically different, and I think that was what disappointed me the most with Surgical Steel, which is my least favorite of all of them, because I was hoping that they were going to do something drastically different that was going to be really interesting and kind of blow me away. And instead, I guess
you can only do that so many times,
Yeah. They're kind of giving you like, they're giving the people what they want, which I totally understand, and it's a good album. I find it to be the least satisfying.
At this point, Carcass is classic rock.
It is. I mean, this shit is.
I hate saying it, but it's true. Yeah.
I graduated from high school. Almost. Yeah, it'll be 30 years ago next year. So yeah, shit's old as fuck, man.
Yeah. Oh well.
Don't remind me. Now I'm oldest. I'm the oldest of the 3 of us.
Well, he said
you're very well preserved as well.
I'm gonna. When you said I was well preserved, I'm gonna make that like the tagline for the show. Yeah.
Well, this has been
great.
Awesome.
Great,
Thank you so much for talking to us, and we can't wait for November 20th.
Fantastic. I think you guys are very personable, so I think that'll be entertaining.
Oh,
and
great.
Hopefully I won't fuck up the flow.
No, it's great, and if it's not too crowded at the show, we'll come up and say hi after the
Please
show.
do, yeah.
I
mean,
I'll work on that eyeball tattoo.
Yeah.
Or if it is crowded, just wait till the end, and I'll go to the bar for a couple of drinks after we're done.
There you go. That sounds great.
We're always up for that.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
The sounds of decay.
Okay, Sounds of Decay time. So we're going to start off with a band from Portugal, Gaera. These guys have been together since 2016. The new album is entitled Mirage. There's definitely a strong visual component to Gaera's presentation.
They all have these crazy, like you never see their faces. They have these crazy masks with like mystical, magical
symbols
on them.
It's for like if you're a fan of stuff like Portal, Deathspell. Yeah, this is up your alley. Especially
they're all
Portal.
dirty. Their arms are dirty. It looks like they might have been sweeping chimneys. Chimney sweeping.
They're not singing. What's the song?
Chim
chimney, chim chimney, chim chim. They're not singing that shit. So why are we singing that?
I don't know.
That's the question. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna throw up. This is some live footage in the Hellfest. Check it out. Look at this.
I still have jalapeno on. Sorry, I live.
Look at check out these stage moves. You can tell that it's curious style of dark art, but they seem to have picked up some helicopters,
Like
guitar waving moves. It's interesting. There's a little rock and roll component to the performance.
interesting.
Anyway, so that new album is their third full length, and it's out on Seasons of Mist. All the song titles are a single word. The vinyl is gorgeous. Hell, even the CD is gorgeous. So check them out. We're going to play a song called Memoir.
Sounds of Decay 2. This band is Metastopheles, which is not spelled the traditional way. It has an
not.
F instead of the PH.
Maybe you said F it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were pretty much. But they are Heaviside Doom from Argentina. This is a trio sort of in the vein of Electric Wizard,
Yeah.
or Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. But obviously these guys have studied their pentagram. They've studied their Vitus. The new album, Violent Theater, is their fourth full length. Just look at the album cover.
It's disgusting. I love it.
Bass lines on this thing are pure Geezer Butler homage, right up my alley. Not a speck of Candlemass, which we're happy about.
Or it wouldn't be on here. Yeah. Check out the album titles.
Oh yeah. Although I was reading somewhere that they went back and re-listened to Horror from 2016, they no longer like it.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I mean, like read off the
Because of the
album
production.
titles.
They said it had bad production, but yeah, 2016 Horror, 2017 I'm Heroin, 2019 Satan's Sex Ceremonies, and now 2022 Violent Theater, which appears to be very poking fun at JC. I love it.
Well, I mean, this is the first album that I've seen that doesn't have bimbos on the cover, so I guess they're moving forward, So.
So from their latest release, Metastopheles, no matter how you spell it, this is Buried in Worms.
Okay, Sounds of Decay 3, a band that needs no introduction, Oakland's legendary Autopsy, and the new record is Pure Filth, of course. Morbidity Triumphant is the name of the record. It's their 8th overall. And you know what you're going to get with Autopsy. Nasty riffs, crazed solos, titles like Stab the Brain, Maggots in the Mirror. It's signature Autopsy. They haven't lost a step since Severed Survival. You get the slow, painful, doomy interludes, brutal riffing. The artwork is fantastic. There's even some death and roll over tunes here and there in a couple tracks, like the Voracious one. A band true to the genre, to the T.
Well, they were definitely pioneers in the death doom metal genre. They actually got together in 1987, so they've been around a very long time. However, after a kind of difficult tour in 93, they split in 95 for a while and didn't get back together till 2008. And the only reason they got back together then is they were doing 2 additional tracks for the re-release of Severed Survival. But they kind of liked being back together, and they got back together as of 2009. And now they've recorded their new album, Morbidly Triumphant, for 2022. So glad they are back again.
Okay. So let's play a song. This is Knife Slice, Axe Chop. Okay.
I feel like I should put on my serial killer
Your apron. Yeah. Well, look, it looks as though we're out of time. Feels like we just sat down and yet it's already over. Covered
Sometimes
so
I'm
many
like,
things, like our children's ability to vomit on cue. Interesting.
very black metal.
Very Exorcist. Yeah. We discussed the toys of our childhood, good and bad, mostly bad.
Mostly waste of time things. I think that back then, how much time can we make them invest in a task, a pointless task? Like sit and spin.
We discussed the sad practice of cruising around in a muscle car to no end. Never getting sex. No sex at all.
We were all at the mall buying clothes you would never see us in.
He's so funny. Oh, I like Mark. He's so funny. Kiss of death.
This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Matt Harvey appears courtesy of Earsplit PR. Snaggletooth theme courtesy of Gus from Defleshed. Also, Gus of Defleshed of Grind Over Matter. Great vinyl. Sounds of Decay theme courtesy of Steve Rathbone from Lair of the Minotaur. Decay bands this week, Gorilla, Metastopheles, and Autopsy. All content 2022, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme
That's a Lego.
Music Podcast.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.